I seek refuge from the devil. In the name of Allah, who is most beneficent and most merciful, I am Nighat from Multan Public School and College. I'm your geography teacher. Today, we are going to learn a lesson from geography book, Central Pakistan. This is chapter number 4. Pakistan is divided into three major geographic areas: the Northern Highlands, the Indus River Plain, with two major subdivisions corresponding roughly to the provinces of Punjab and Sindh, and the Balochistan Plateau. Sindh and Punjab provinces lie on western corner of Indian plate. Balochistan and most of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa lie within the Asian plate, which mainly comprises the Iranian plateau, some parts of Middle East and Central Asia. Northern areas and Azad Kashmir lie mainly in Central Asia, along the edge of the Indian plate. Dear students, in this chapter, we will introduce with Central Pakistan, the POTWAR Plateau, the SIALKOT region, the Salt Range, the Balochistan Plateau, the western bordering mountains, deserts, the Indus and its extraordinary journey across Pakistan, and coastlines. Dear students, there is a plateau that stretches across Pakistan in the south of high mountains. Much of this is dry land with an average rainfall west of the river Indus of 250 to 380 mm. Only hard scrub can grow there. The land is not useful for agriculture except fertile valleys. Bannu region is even less, but this is an important area for the rearing of sheep, camels, and donkeys. There are some forests on the upper slopes of western mountains. East of the river Indus lie the Potwar Plateau and the Salt Range. Dear students, now we will talk about the Potwar Plateau. The Potwar Plateau experiences low rainfall, an average of 400 mm a year. The soil, which is very soft, is often washed away in the wet season. There are many small streams, but during the rain, the water cuts into the soft soil, making deep gullies in the land. These gullies cannot be used for irrigation as the water level is far below the surface of land. Although it is very poor area for agriculture, it is quite heavily populated. The most important crops are oilseed and, to a lesser extent, wheat. This is the picture of Potwar Plateau. If you see on your right side, this is the picture of gully. This is soft soil, and this cannot be used for irrigation as the water level is far below the surface of the land. Dear students, now we would talk about the Sialkot region. It has a reasonable rainfall of 650 to 900 mm. It has rich heavy soil. With irrigation, it produces large crops of wheat, rice, and some sugarcane from its small, intensively cultivated farms. With heavy irrigation, fertilizers, and lots of hard work, such farms produce more crops. Dear students, this is the picture of the Sialkot region. It is most cultivated area with rich soil. Dear students, now we will talk about another geographical region, the Salt Range. Dear students, now we will talk about the Salt Range. It lies to the south of the Potwar Plateau, rises from about 600 to 1500 mm. It receives little rain and it is very barren region. However, it is great interest to geologists as it is a kind of rock museum. It is important industrially because of the range deposits of salt from which it gets its name. Dear students, now we will talk about the Balochistan Plateau. This area is larger and it is in the west of the Indus and south of the Salt Range. It is very dry. Few people live here. In most of the region, there are few roads. Very simple agriculture is supplemented by the raising of fat-tailed sheep, goat, and limited number of camels and donkeys. In some areas, it has a remarkable and very ancient system of irrigation that is called kares. Dear students, this is the picture of Balochistan Plateau. If you see on the right of your side, then you can see the picture of kares. This is an unusual method of producing small amount of water for irrigation in very dry regions. It is thought that the system was brought to the region from either Persia or China several thousand years ago. Dear students, now we would discuss about the western bordering mountains. Students, now we will talk about the western bordering mountains. The huge Hindu Kush mountains drop down to the valley of the Kabul River, where the famous Khyber Pass forms a main opening from Pakistan to Afghanistan. South of this river, their main ranges of lower mountains or hills run roughly north to south to the Arabian Sea. This high landmark marks the western edge of the Indus Plain. The mountains are from north to south: the Suleiman Range, the Sultan Bruhi Range, and the Kirtha Range. The people who live in this harsh, dry region grow a few crops in some valleys. These valleys are quite unhealthy to live in because of the high incidence of malaria. The people are tribal, many of them semi nomadic. They make their living mostly from the herds of sheep and goats they keep. Dear students, now we will talk about the deserts of Pakistan. Now we will talk about the deserts of Pakistan. These include the Nara and Cholistan Desert in the southeast, which are extension of the Great Third Desert of India. Large area of central Balochistan and the Third Desert in Sagar Doab. While the sand of Thar and Balochistan deserts is mainly infertile. Many places in Thar Desert are capable of producing crops with the help of irrigation. There are extensive schemes of reclamation in this region. Reclaiming means turning infertile land into land that can grow crops. This can be done through irrigation and fertilizers. Dear students, now we would talk about the Indus, its tributary, and its extraordinary journey across Pakistan. Now we will talk about the Indus and its extraordinary journey across Pakistan. Indus Plain covers 40% of the total land area of Pakistan. It is the heart of agriculture. Indus River is 3,000 kilometers in length. It rises in southwestern Tibet. After wandering through Jammu and Kashmir, it enters in Pakistan near Banji. It circles Nanga Parbat and have cut gorges up to 5 kilometers deep and 24 kilometers wide. It joins its first major tributary, the Kabul River at Attock. A road and rail bridge spans the two rivers. This enlarged river cuts by Salt Range. It enters the Punjab Plains. Here, it is joined by its five major tributaries. Punjab literally means the land of five rivers. The level of water is low in springtime as there is not enough rainfall and water comes from melting of snow and glaciers. The Indus become much larger after joining its tributaries. This is up to 5 kilometers wide from July to September. The height at this point is only about 80 m above sea level. Slowly moving water allows much of the mud. Quickly running water falls to the bed. Heavy blood changes the course of river and it is one of the causes of the collapse of Indus Valley civilization. The Indus begins to break up into channels near Tata. The rainfall of the Indus Plain ranges from 125 to 500 mm a year from the delta through which it enters the sea in the south of Karachi. Though the land is very fertile, but water would not be enough for the extensive agriculture. Dear students, now we would take an overview of the Indus and its extraordinary journey across Pakistan. It rises in southwestern Tibet. After wandering through parts of Jammu and Kashmir, it enters Pakistan near Banji. It circles the great mountain peaks of Nanga Parbat, where it cut gorges up to 5 kilometers deep and 25 kilometers wide. at Attock. It is joined by a first major tributary at Kabul. Then it joined its 5 tributaries at Attock. Near Thatta, the Indus began to break up into channels which form the delta through which it enters the sea south of Karachi. Dear students, now we will talk about the coastline. About 6,000 kilometers of frontiers, but only about 800 of these are coastlines. The only major ports are Karachi and Port Qasim. A new port is being developed at Gwadar on the Makran coast, while the rest of the Makran coast is largely undeveloped at the moment. Dear students, in this chapter we were introduced with central Pakistan. We discussed the POTWAR Plateau, the SIALKOT region, the Salt Range, the Balochistan Plateau, the western bordering mountains, deserts, the Indus and its extraordinary journey across Pakistan, and coastline. Students, this is our beautiful Pakistan, and indeed it is a great gift of Allah. Love it unconditionally. Students, this is all from my side. Now it is your turn to do something. You would have to do all the assignments that are written in the PDF file. You all have understand what we have discussed. Thank you very much, and I hope that you would stay home and stay safe.